I wonder how likely we would have been to follow Jesus if instead of being submerged in the waters, he had stood alongside the bank of the Jordan with John, philosophizing about what it meant that he was without sin and whether or not he should be baptized. I've noticed there's a difference between effective, even brilliant speaking and actually changing somebody's life. The difference between finding something insightful or motivational to say, between being admired or helping somebody understand themselves better or bringing out some new truth. The difference between that and helping someone find the courage to address and change the addictions, the compensations, the sins, the struggles of their life. John the Baptist preached and was greatly admired. And I think there's, in religious circles, much more admiration than conversion. John was admired and pointed out the road for anyone who would walk on it. But not very many people found their footing on John's road, maybe just long enough to get to Jesus. But Jesus did something else. Jesus didn't point out the road. He became the road. He lived with an authenticity that made his words powerful in people's lives. He became what he offered. He offered himself. He didn't just talk about God's love, he loved. He didn't just talk about service, he served. Until he was tired, until they called him crazy. And that love, that service, that ultimately led him to crucifixion, we see here in his baptism as he joins us in the river. He doesn't tell us where to go, he joins us. If salvation was something external, right? If God was going to save us, if that's how it worked, he didn't need to send Jesus, and Jesus certainly didn't need to die on the cross. If some act of God, some will of God, some of the old theologians contemplate how if he would have just pricked his finger, that would have been enough to restore the balance. But that's not how it works. Our lives have to change. We have to give up those addictions and compensations and habits and struggles and sins that block us from love, that keep us from living our lives in love for others, that keep us from receiving the love that's being offered to us. And we can't do that without help. And the salvation that Jesus brings us is the love and help that can be effective because of the power of his authenticity. Because he really did it. And he did it to the end. He loved us to the very end. And it's responding to that love that I and you might find the courage to change our lives. I prayed about saying these words for a while, and I realized that as I preach each week, one of the things I do is early in the week find something that challenges me and try to live it better so that I can share with you with some authenticity that challenge. And so I was intrigued to see Father Ron Rolheiser tell a story on Gandhi in his reflection this week, that a mom concerned for her daughter who was addicted to sweets went to Gandhi and said, please talk to my daughter because, she's going to kill herself with all the sugar. And Gandhi said, go home and come back in 3 weeks and bring your daughter back. So she did. And in 3 weeks she came back, and Gandhi spoke powerfully and movingly to her daughter about the dangers of this addiction and what she might do to change her life. And the mother thanked him and said, but why did you make us go home and wait for 3 weeks? And Gandhi said, because 3 weeks ago, I was still addicted to sugar. And in our lives, if we want to be a blessing and a help to others, and I so often hear our share in your concerns and heartaches where you would like to be a source of salvation, to bring the joy of holiness to someone you love. And I would recommend that our words are a very small part of the picture. That good words can be very helpful and bad words can be very hurtful. But words that aren't backed up with a life of authenticity, words that don't reflect our deepest efforts and desires, aren't going to help the people that we love. And so maybe as we share in Jesus' baptism, as we share in the Father's love poured out, and God who reminds us that he's proud of us and takes delight in us because Jesus so thoroughly became one with us, may we have the courage to look at our lives and finding the joy that comes from holiness, from overcoming the obstacles of love. May our words and our efforts for our brothers and sisters also bear fruit.
Te he buscado tanto tiempo, bajo lluvia, sol y viento.